So I'm going to read you a message that got sent to me by another coach who was watching this game last night. He said Chip Lindsey is the best thing to happen to UNC since Sam and Drake. It's so much better, so obvious. Okay, so that was an outside eye. All right. um, the next thing that I'll do is I'll just say this. First drive of the game, Carolina gets a 1st and 10 from the 9-yard line. First and goal from the 9-yard line on the first drive, right? Against an SEC defense, even if that's not the best SEC defense out there. And they ran the ball 3 times and punched it in. Now, let me ask you this. When was the last time North Carolina got the football against a defense with a pulse, 1st and goal from the 9, ran the football 3 times and just pounded it in and imposed their will on a defense? Or I can't remember the last time that happened.
I surely can't.
I remember they had a 1st and 9 during the ACC championship game against Clemson, and it ended up being like a 1st and 40. They got backed up so bad, but that was a good Clemson defense. So.
Yeah, there's a better Clemson defense in this group, but still, like, if you can line it up on goal line, from the 9-yard line and run it 3 times and punch it in against an FBS Power 5 defense, if you can do that with any level of consistency, then you're doing something right. One of the things that I really like about what Lindsey and that group did is they used personnel and formation to provide a lot of variation in what they did without overcomplicating in terms of the concepts that they're actually running. So you saw a lot more variety from Carolina's offense last night, but it wasn't a whole lot more in terms of the stuff that the players would actually have to know. Right? So it's not much less simple for players, but it is a lot more for the defense to prepare against. And I do think they had counters in yesterday's game that were evident. And one of the things that I just loved was the overall level of physicality was different. I thought that was something that was true on we talked about it already. The defensive line and the defense as a whole played a more physical brand of football than we've seen in Chapel Hill for a while. Right? And then I think part of that goes back to, if you look at what they did when they were on offense, they lined it up and they ran the football when they wanted to run the football. And, that goal line, the final play of that goal line sequence, which I think is one of the ones I'm going to break down later for my stuff. How many offensive linemen were on the field there? Did you notice that?
Was it 7?
There's 6 or 7. I'm looking at. Hold on. I'm looking.
Is that when South Carolina had 13?
South Carolina had 13.
They kept running guys on, and nobody was running off.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the screen here. I need to get a different angle here, but as far as I can tell, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3. It's either 2 tights and one. I think it's 3 tights and then 6 offensive linemen. All right. And what they did is they put 78, who's a 340-pound offensive tackle, and they lined him up at tight end, but they lined him up as the second tight end outside another 325-pound tackle, who was lined up outside of another 315-pound offensive lineman. So they went unbalanced. You've got one guard and a tight end to the right of the center, and then you have a whole lot of beef to the left going out guard, tackle, tight end, and second tight end, and then third and fourth tight end. That's really hard on a defense to even figure out how to line that up, and then they quick huddled. So they ran to the line of scrimmage quickly and then just pounded it in. It's that sort of thing. That's not hard to do for an offense. You just have that personnel package. You just do it. You got like 2 or 3 things you do out of it. You've got a couple passes, little play actions off of it. It's just something you add in, and you don't have to spend a lot of time on it because everybody knows, like, this is your job. Here's where you're going to line up. Done. But defensively, I can tell you this is going to take 5 or 10 minutes of prep time for the opposing defensive coordinator this next week. He's going to have to look at this and work with his defense of, okay, on the goal line, they're going to probably go unbalanced at some point. All right, if they go unbalanced, linebackers, you got to be alert. And now they're going to have to figure out how you're going to line up and fit this. That makes it hard. And that's one of the things I really believe in as an offensive coordinator. I believe you need to do stuff that's simple for your guys, but makes it much harder and adds to the overall preparation load for the defense. And what I saw is a lot of that sort of thing from Lindsey and staff in this one. And then the other thing is I saw a lot of guys finishing blocks. Third
Willie. Willie especially.
Willie did it, but you know who else I want to give a helmet sticker to is 88.
Oh, yes.
That kid just blocked his tail off. And he's not a kid. He's a fifth-year guy. That's a grown man, and he blocked like a grown man. He blocked his tail off in this game. And he finished some blocks. There was that one, I think it was a fourth down conversion. I can't remember if it was the third or fourth down conversion to the right side toward the middle of the field, about middle portion of the game. And if you go back and you watch that, that's the one that Willie Lampkin pulled on. And, they highlighted that. But I was watching the tight end. The tight end crashed down on this, and 88 just absolutely put a guy on his back. And it was the finish, and it was the just outright dog cussed meanness of it that I'm sitting there going, dang straight, son. That's the way to do it. Like, I'm like, the coach in me is going, yes, this is what you got to see. And I, give Freddie Kitchens all the credit he deserves for that one, to get his group to block like they did. But the tight ends blocked their tails off, and you just saw an overall level of physicality from Carolina in this game that you've not seen in a long time. And so for me, this is a solid A grade, not just for Chip Lindsey, but for the whole offensive staff in how they approach this game. Not an A+, because there's some things you can nitpick with of like, well, I don't like that call, and a couple things that you saw in terms of little pieces of execution, and I don't think they'd give themselves an A grade, but I'm giving them an A grade just because of the overall level of preparation and the physicality and the difference in approach that you saw that is much more in line with my preference as an offensive guy.